What's going on, everybody? Man, Eric Wilson for the Sports Arena on a Monday night. And before we get started tonight, we just want to take a moment and offer our thoughts and prayers to one Cleveland Browns running back Nick Chubb. As I'm sure those of you who are watching either one of the Monday night football games, but more importantly, the Cleveland Browns versus Pittsburgh Steelers, he was carted off with an injury so bad that they did not show the replay. But we just want to make sure we offer our thoughts and prayers to him. Hopefully, it is not as bad as people are thinking it could be, and that we do see him back on the field um, soon. But with that, let's get down to the show. Let me go ahead and bring the crew in here. Of course, I got my co host, a sports reporter without pay. Mr. Ray Lynn is in the building. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Sadly enough, we won't see that man again this season, man. It was
Yeah,
rough. It was gruesome.
I'm,
It's
I'm
gruesome.
I
Yeah.
know. I'm just trying to stay positive, at least for the time being. But I agree with you
It's-
on that one. Uh, Let me go ahead and get my man, NFL alum media, sideline sports zone, Mr. John Shears in the building. Good evening, sir.
Hey, yeah, that was Joe Theismann-esque. If you want to know, if you don't want to watch a replay and you
Okay.
want to know how bad it is, Joe Theismann. That
All right.
that
Fair enough.
says all you need to know.
All right. And then last but not least, ASU Pitchfork Lunch Sun Devil on. He's a Sun Devil, Jerry. My man Mike Noodles in the building. Look at Mike with his National Scouting Combine shirt on. What's up, Mike?
Well, got to represent, man. You sent me
that
that pumping National Scouting Combine, and
Did
yeah,
you get
that
rid of
makes
the
up.
hat though?
I mean,
Did you
look,
get rid of the hat, Mike?
it wasn't as bad as a beautiful hat.
No, that hat is garbage.
It's a beautiful hat. No, but Nick Chubb's. I mean, they didn't show the replay from the reverse angle where it was worse, but oh, dude, that's just brutal.
Yeah. Like I said, our thoughts and prayers are going out to him. Um, well, fellas, we got a show as always. I was expecting there to be a guest because I was actually going against what I normally do on football Sundays. I normally keep to myself. I watch my game. I mind my own business. But seeing as how my team played Thursday, I was reaching out to a certain someone saying to him, your team need to show up against the Arizona Cardinals, especially during that first half. He then responded to me with, I was being disrespectful. He said he was going to show up on the show tonight. I sent him the link, so he still might, but we'll see if that comes to fruition. Oh, and I'll say this again for those who may not have heard it. There's a gentleman by the name of, well, he calls himself Mr. Made for Television. Yeah, he goes by the name of Real Lil. And I said, you seem to talk it. Why don't you bring it on to this show? And still no hide, no hair from him. So I'm shots fired all night tonight because I got to. People have, I guess they've mistaken the fact that because I remain silent, that means I don't like to voice my opinion except when I'm on here. No, don't get it twisted. What I always tell people, and Mike will attest to this, just because I don't do something doesn't mean I can't. More importantly, doesn't mean I won't. So I'm just letting y'all know. To my Giants fan who said I was being disrespectful, you have the invitation. Real Lil, you also have the invitation. Anytime y'all want to come hang out with the three of us and see what it's really like to be must-see TV, y'all let me know. Anyhow,
Eric,
Man, listen. Hey, listen. Hang out with the two of y'all. You bring that joke on. I'm calling in sick, dog. Hey, you like the sports arena ain't missing nothing without no Leo Real. We ain't missing nothing, dog.
Ray, I agree with you, but see, here's the thing.
He
and,
entertaining.
and and you know this just as well as Mike and John both know this. At some point in time, we have to remind people exactly who we are and what we're capable of. Because I think people get the misnomer that we just four guys on here talking like we just do what we do. No, no, no. There is a plethora of stuff in our resumes that if you actually paid attention, you might actually stand up and be impressed and actually be like, oh, these guys are actually doing something. And sometimes I got to remind people of that because I am probably the most humble out of the four of us with regards to the success of what this show has been, predominantly because of the three of you and others, such as the Queen of Hoops, such as the Big Guard, such as my man Jake Wronghold, such as Ruth Cake. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But I think people
I know you
sometimes
not
just
finna
don't,
list all them names without saying
without saying who, without saying the man that brought us all together, Alex Fleming. Yes, of
yeah,
course.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
you
I
know.
get you. I get you.
I
Rest
thought the
my
same
brother,
thing.
he already know. He with me every day. So let's get down to business. All right. I had to get that rant out the way.
Eric, can I say something real quick?
Please.
I'm really proud of the Cowboys on their win yesterday, man. That was a great win. I'm really happy for them. I'm glad that they got that win yesterday. Good job, Cowboys. I was rooting for you yesterday.
I don't know what kind of divine intervention that was that man lost his connection right when you said that.
I know.
He
I
didn't
have
get
no
to
clue.
hear it. He didn't get to hear it.
That's all right. He'll be back in a moment. His computer might have died. His phone
It's
might
like
have died.
Beetlejuice. Say his name 3 times. He'll show up.
But let's start with this one. We are going to do our performer of the week.
You know it, we on the way, we came to play. All right now, we came to play, we on the way. Like right now.
That was awesome.
That was
Well,
very awesome.
Thank you.
I got so excited I hit the wrong button.
Clearly, John actually gave your team some love, and you went off screen.
No, sorry, my fat fingers aren't.
So proud of your Cowboys. So proud of them.
Anyhow.
Or yesterday, just yesterday.
Let's start with my man, the sports reporter without pay.
No,
Raylan,
please let me go last because I got so many. I don't want to pick nobody they picked. I got about 5 in the stash, so they can go, and whoever left over, I'll knock out one.
Okay, then I'll go first. My performer of the week is from the Washington Commanders, Brian Robinson Jr. I said it when I was on the halftime show with Cortland Griffin's NFC East show. This is my guy who's going to be the offensive player of the year. Just because of what that man transpired last year, now has Eric Bieniemy as an offensive coordinator. And Washington, and we'll talk about them a little bit later, but more importantly, Washington being 2-0 right now, under Eric Bieniemy with Sam Howell, you knew that Brian Robinson Jr. was going to be the man to carry the load and tote the rock. So he is my performer of the week, basically continuing to use his legs, pound the ground, and just make it known that he will be a force this season. He is my performer of the week. Mike Carrottenuto.
Solid pick. I like that, even though the Commanders had a cheat to win, but Sean Payton never gets those calls, but that's a question for another day. I know you don't like the Commanders either. I love Brian Robinson, though. But, look, man, I'm going with the guy. Whatever, homer or not, man, Micah Parsons. Dude, he put on weight. He looks faster. Their defense is freaking nasty and getting nastier. And, yes, Stephon Gilmore got beat once by the man Garrett Wilson. We talked about how good Garrett Wilson, obviously he was the offensive rookie of the year last year, right? But, yeah, dude, Micah Parsons and the Cowboys defense, dude, it's 2 weeks. And like I said, knock on wood, Eric, got to stay healthy. But I'm looking forward to them coming to the backyard next week. That's all I got to say.
All right. John Scheer, who's your performer of the week, sir?
Yeah. So I thought he played pretty well week 1 in a loss, and they don't have a whole lot of weapons. But I got to give love to C.J. Stroud, man. Like, nobody's really talking about how well this guy's played through 2 weeks. He had to go to Baltimore his first career game. And, yeah, the stats didn't light up, but I thought as a pro he played really well. And then against the Colts, he has more 300-yard games in his career than Justin Fields does. And he's only played 2 games in his career. Like, this guy has played really well, and he's not really getting any love because Bryce Young and all these other guys, are rookies, and they're a lot more exciting. But C.J. Stroud's quietly played really well, and he kept the Texans in that game yesterday. So I got to give love to Stroud, man. With hardly any weapons, he's making a lot more out of nothing than most guys would in that situation. And he didn't have a star left tackle yesterday and still balled out. So I got to give love to him.
All right, that leaves the sports reporter without pay. We gave you 3. Who's yours, sir?
Man, listen, you could have threw a dart at a board like that Philly game. Swift was amazing. Kirk Cousins threw for like 360 and 4 touchdowns, no picks and loss. Jefferson was amazing. Mike Evans was amazing. Like, just throwing shout outs. But I'm going to go a different route. In the history of this game, this is more of a combined week 1, week 2. But in the history of this game, not Terrell Owens, not Jerry Rice, not Calvin Johnson, not Antonio Brown, not Julio Jones. Puka Nacua has the most receptions in his first 2 games in NFL history. Puka Nacua, first off, it's a cool name. Let's just start there. That's a cool name. Puka Nacua, right? Like, I almost called him a Nick like 3 times. Like, so, like, listen, and it's not like it's dinking and dunking. He got 25 receptions for 266 yards through 2 games. He's balling, man. He's balling. Shout out to him. The Rams look formidable and this is without Cooper Kupp, right? Like you expect Cooper Kupp to be their guy, like we saw in the Super Bowl. They come out and shock the world in week 1, and it's kind of almost a we're back. And then they play the 49ers down to, I mean, forget the fact that McVay called the play to kick the field goal that made every person that bet on that game pissed off, right? I don't know if y'all aware of this. Like that,
that was all for the line.
Every person that bet for the Niners.
But up to about maybe 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter, it was a game. They played a team that's beat them 8 times in a row in the regular season. They played them tough without arguably their best player. And a lot of it had to do, again, with Puka Nacua. Like, he is my peak performer for week 2, carrying back to week 1.
Can I give you something off Matt Stafford just to touch on that? The greatest season ever, Cooper Kupp, Matt Stafford throwing him. Second greatest season ever, Calvin Johnson had Matt Stafford thrown to him. Kenny Golladay, his only top 10 season, he had Matt Stafford thrown to him. And Puka Nacua, the 2 games are the best a rookie's ever started in the history of the NFL. Matt Stafford's thrown to him. And most catches in the history of the NFL in a single game by a rookie, and Matt Stafford's thrown to him. All Stafford. Just saying.
I'm borderline halfway confused by that, John. Are you being facetious?
No, I'm serious. Stafford has been the quarterback for all of those things I listed, which is crazy.
Oh, real quick. Can I how I do this thing right here? Real quick, because I don't know if John is being facetious.
No, I'm serious. Stafford has been the
John,
quarterback for all
I just want to know, John, have you ever seen that blog that I wrote called The Matt Stafford Effect?
I believe so. That's
what the blog is referring to. Calvin Johnson's greatest season, Matt Stafford. Golden Tate's best season, Matt Stafford. It talks about what they did before Stafford and after
Kenny Golladay look good.
Yeah. So you telling Ray Lee about the Matt Stafford. That I played is very well aware. I've been telling people, man,
you need to update it with Puka Nacua.
Listen, but that's where careers go to die, right? The Detroit Lions, and now we're on to something, right? But before that, Barry Sanders, all-time great. We couldn't compete. Same thing with Calvin Johnson. Guys don't talk about guys like Herman Moore, Robert Porcher, Chris Spielman. We had some great players come through here. And Matt Stafford, if he was playing anywhere else and we were winning games, he would have been revered as one of the elite quarterbacks in the game because he's an elite talent. He leaves, and in his first year, he wins the Super Bowl. Like, he's good. He's really, really good, man.
All right, that was our performer of the week. So we're going to move on to a segment that I love, and it's called Who Knew I Knew. And, my Who Knew I Knew, so I'm just going to get it out the way, was, and again, this is a shout-out to my man right above me, the sports reporter without pay, because I remember when the trade was made, how mad he was trying to figure out why Detroit would get rid of DeAndre Swift. Well, I knew, and then I saw it firsthand Thursday night against Minnesota. Now, listen, we all picked the Eagles to beat Minnesota, but y'all have to admit that first quarter looked a little suspect on Philadelphia's part because to commit 3 turnovers on defense and not get any points, not even 3 off of those turnovers, would give you cause to think, oh, well, Philly might be in some sugar honey iced tea this year. But what does Nick Sirianni and the rest of that crew do? They say, okay, we've got a running back by committee. We need to utilize them. And it's fine. You've got Boston Scott. Kenneth Gainwell was out because he's got rib injuries. And then you go to Rashad Penny, who the knock on him was he couldn't stay healthy in Seattle. So who's left? Oh, that would be DeAndre Swift, who decided just give me the rock and let me go because this is my homecoming. This brother just ran over everybody and anybody that had a purple jersey on the defensive side of Minnesota. And Brian Flores, much love to you, sir, but you had no answer. And when I saw that, I was like, yeah, this is why we got that guy. For this exact reason. Because when A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Jalen Hurts aren't on the same page, and someone please find Dallas Goedert because the brother's only been targeted maybe less than 5 times this entire season so far. Now, granted, it's only 2 weeks. But I'm like, what are we going to do? Well, the answer simply was DeAndre Swift. That's my who knew? Yeah, I knew this brother was going to be something. So thank you to the sports reporter without pay's Detroit Lions for allowing us to utilize this brother because he going to get his touches and he going to have some fun this year. Where wants to go next?
Well, my who knew I knew. I'm so glad I'm sitting down for this. I thought about this for a few days. Is everybody whining about the touchback with Justin Jefferson. First of all, it was pass interference in the Commanders Broncos game. But I'm so sick, Eric, of everybody complaining about a rule. And I can say this, even though it's obviously benefiting your team in Philly and defending them, in knowing that Deshaun Jackson did it in Dallas a while back. But all the rules are for the offense, man. And I knew everybody was going to start whining. If you don't break the plane, why should you be rewarded? Answer me that question. I don't care if you broke away. You don't break the plane. Now, you're one of those fools that drops ball. Now, Justin Jefferson didn't drop it behind him. I'm not going to give him crap for that. The defender made a hell of a play. If it goes out of the end zone, it's a touchback. If it stays out of bounds before the pylon, cool. It's their ball right there. But I'm sick of hearing everybody whine saying that's a stupid rule. A defender made a hell of a play, and it went through the end zone. Everybody, remember a few years back, everybody's whining about the whole Browns Chiefs thing. He fumbled before the end zone. Yeah, it sucks, especially, if you're betting on the game like we talked about before. But I'm sick of hearing this whining about that damn rule. And I knew it was going to happen, and everybody was all over it. Why should the offense get the ball on the 1 yard line, Eric? Why? Every other rule benefits them. You can't hold on to the damn ball and break the plane? Guess what? Through the end zone, touchback, other team's ball.
Okay. John Shear, who knew I knew?
Look, all right, don't get mad. Comment section, don't get mad. All right. Who knew that all the talking that Dion and this Colorado team would do, it would come back to bite them in the ass, and they had to have a miracle comeback just to win against Colorado State. They were at home. They had to have a miracle comeback. 10 o'clock at night, they had Kawhi Leonard there. They had everybody there. And they had to have a miracle comeback against Colorado State. Like, come on. Who couldn't beat Colorado State? And who knew that this was going to come back to bite them in the ass, and that Colorado State would actually focus on playing football, and Colorado was just too worried about doing interviews and having star players there and all that nonsense? I knew that. I knew that was going to happen. And just like in the future, I know that they're going to get waxed because they're too focused on all this jazz, all this interviews, all this stuff that doesn't have to do with football. Somebody's going to get them, like Oregon, like USC, those teams. So who knew that this was coming? I knew.
John,
I knew
Oregon
it all along.
Outside of Travis Hunter not playing, and I respect what you're saying, but
got to play football. Don't worry about all that off the field stuff.
John,
like
it's a rivalry game. I mean, I know they're not in the same conference,
stop.
But
Ain't nobody worried about no Colorado State.
Within the state,
no one was worried about Colorado till Prime showed up. Till Coach Prime showed up.
They won one game last year, Eric, so that's why nobody was worried.
We're way past that, Eric.
That being said, I want to say this real quick, Eric, because I want to say it that when I accidentally hit my button. The kid from Colorado State, the safety, who I feel should be suspended for the rest of the season because that was nothing but a cheap shot hit on Travis Hunter. His family and him getting death threats, these people are pathetic. Now, it's all online. Like we always say, it's internet warriors. That's just absolutely pathetic. But when you watch,
not only that, Mike, but they leaked his actual address, his phone number, and all that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And all these people are of course internet warriors and scumbags. Yep. Like that's unacceptable. But when you watch, I'm not even talking about watching it in slow motion, Ray, because I saw you kind of turn your head. That ball is way out of bounds, and he took 3 full steps, lowered his shoulder, and Hunter can't even see him. In the NFL, when quarterbacks get hit like that, everybody's like, "Oh man, that's I don't know, that's on the line." That was a total cheap shot. He doesn't deserve. His family doesn't deserve any of this. These internet warriors are scumbags. But I'm just saying, even in the NFL, and Eric, I've said this to you before, if somebody does get penalized or they get ejected, they should have to sit out as long as the player that gets hurt is out. Because I have nothing against this young man, but he took 3 full steps, and Hunter couldn't even see him, and he lowered his shoulder pad into his ribs. Football is contact. We all know that. But, I mean, there's a line. I mean, come on.
Listen, that's a conversation we can spawn off and go deeper into that, but because of our time frame tonight, we're not. But let's
something over there. I see him.
Don't do that when it comes to me. Like,
I see
because like what's going on here? We got John over here doing his who knew I knew based on a game that they actually won. Right? Like, Who knew? I knew it was going to bite them in the tail in a game that they actually won. Like
double overtime, but yes,
in
they did win.
college,
Hold on,
in
John,
college,
slow down,
it matters.
slow down. Because I'm not one of those guys. I'm not a Deion supporter. I don't buy a lot of what he's doing, and like that's a whole nother conversation. But that particular game, if anything, I took away the opposite of it. Like they might be for real, right? Because they showed perseverance, right? Like his son, he can really play, yo. Like he's not starting because he's his son. The kid can play. So like if they lose, I had a group chat and I told people with 5 minutes left in the game, I said, win or lose, the Facebook post is going to be y'all couldn't wait for him to fail, right? Like because if he wins, it's going to be y'all was hoping he lost, which is what you're doing right now. And if he lost, it would be see we told you. Like so that it was going to be that regardless. But they persevered and they won.
Oh, I'm petty enough to be in that boat. Sure.
Yeah, but it's a non-conversation. You should have waited 3 more weeks till they lose, and then did this.
They're gonna.
It matters in college football when you're trying to get to bowl games.
Mike, I would say as far as it being dirty, I don't know. Like just 5 minutes ago, you gave a whole soliloquy about all the rules being for the offense. Screw them. All the rules are for them. The same people that say the game is soft now, you can't touch nobody. That kid did what people have been taught to do their whole life. Like he's a safety, he's coming across, he's trying to dislodge what he think is going to be a catch. It is hard in real time to just stop. If this isn't Colorado and if this isn't Travis Hunter, we're not having this conversation. But because it was on national TV, it was Deion Sanders' team, and it's the kid that could be the Heisman candidate. Everybody's like, oh, it's cheap shot. That happens in football games every week.
Yep.
Every week.
It happened to Jalen Waddle. He got snapped in the back of the head.
But I'm not saying it's because of Colorado. And look, what I'm saying is all the rules are for the offense. But when a safety, he pretty much went around his corner who was running step for step with Hunter when you watch the play. I'm just saying when he goes around on the 3 steps and like goes into him, the ball was already out of bounds too. And I understand. Look, I'm with the defenders. I get full speed, but come on, I'm
telling you right now. I watch a lot of games and I watch quarterbacks get passes off because of this rule you're talking about. Like because of what you're talking about. I watch defenders turn the corner, and if the quarterback just does this, you can see the defender let up a little bit because he don't want to run and touch him after you throw it. Right?
Holmes did it against the Lions week 1.
Absolutely. This is what I'm saying. So when you get a player that goes, look, if he catches this, he gonna feel it, right?
Right.
I think it was a legitimate football. I mean, they called the penalty like they were supposed to based on the rules, but I don't think that kid was being malicious. He was playing football, right? Like that's the stuff we used to love in the 90s. Don't come across that Ronnie Lott coming. Steve Atwater coming, right?
And Lawrence Taylor coming. Yeah,
now
if you come across that middle, Brian Dawkins going to lay you out. No, I get you.
When Mahomes faked his spike week 1 against the Lions, the defender two-hand touched him because he thought Mahomes was sliding. He didn't want to get a 15-yarder, and then he kept going. Like John, that, those things happen.
I know, but you don't get to bring up the Lions because
I'm just saying. I know you're salty about yesterday.
No, not just yesterday. I'm so sick of it. If anybody watching this, I see a couple of my people in the comments, to Eric, to Mike, to John. If you haven't, you go to YouTube and you find this video. It is the Sports Reporter Route Pay, and the name of the video is "Are the Lions Really Cursed?" Go watch this video. I promise you, as a Lions fan, we've experienced everything you can possibly experience. Mike, did you know there was a rule that when you're in a stadium, like the home crowd can only be so loud? Did you know that? Did you know that one time the Lions were in a game against the New York Jets and the ref called a penalty because our fans were too loud and the quarterback couldn't hear? That really happened in the game. Mike,
they got rid of that rule.
It was rhetorical. I just wanted you to know it happened to us. Do you remember in the playoff game against your Dallas Cowboys, they actually threw a flag and then picked it up and said, "Our bad." It wasn't a pass interference, even though it clearly was a pass interference. Do y'all remember the Calvin Johnson? Y'all remember the last game against Seattle where dude clearly batted the ball out the back and they said it didn't happen? Mm-hmm. Did anybody see the blatant, obvious holding call to end this game?
Aiden Hutchinson.
It was as clear as day. And then when people say, "Hey, man, don't let the refs decide the game." Well, when a ref swallows his whistle, you are deciding the game. I referee. I've been out refereeing a game, and it was late, and we was ready to go home. And a dude, we was like, "Was he in the end zone?" I went up to the ref. He said, "No, we going home." He was in the end zone. Like, I've seen it happen. They were ready to go. They just let that holding call just flat out go. And we all saw it. Like, bro, as a fan, like, y'all don't understand how sickening it is. And this is why I be so apprehensive, Eric, about having faith in my Lions, because it's always Detroit versus everybody. We watched week 1. We happened to win the game. We watched week 1. as the right offensive lineman for the Kansas City Chiefs, lined up 4 feet behind where he was supposed to be and got a 5-second early jump on every play. We watched it the whole game. And then they was calling it this week. My Lions get treated so bad, man. I'm so sick of it. Who knew? I knew. I knew this Detroit against everybody. I know the refs don't like us. I know it's personal. I remember the Phantom face mask against Aaron. I'm so sick of it, Eric. Like, especially a game that, like, we're there. We're supposed to win, like, overtime. We hold them there. They kick a field goal. We have a chance. On a blatant holding call, you give the game away. On a blatant holding call, oh my God! When the time ran out and then Lamar gets the we can go on and on. That's in the video, by the way.
And then Tucker hits a crossbar and it doinks over for 61 yards.
66.
Bro, I'm so sick
sorry.
of it.
It happens so many times.
I am so sick of the Detroit Lions losing games. And then over the years, the argument is always, y'all suck anyway, right? We don't suck now. We're a pretty formidable team. We were actually expected to win that game. To have the refs take it from you, at least let us go out and lose it. Give us a chance. Like, you have to call that. You have to call that holding call. When he grabs him this way and spins him around, you got to call that. Ray Charles saw it.
What do we always say, Mike? Be consistent. That's what we always say.
If you don't want them to be part of the game, make the same damn calls.
Yep.
First game, 8th game, 17th game, Super Bowl.
Don't matter.
Make the damn calls.
Yep. Do your job.
Real quick, in response to this, Darnell, go watch my video. The game I'm talking about, where the ref told our fans, y'all really have to quiet down, and then called a penalty because he told the coaches, y'all got to quiet them down, right? Go watch it. It's some crazy thing. It was against the Jets, by the way.
Right. That was like I think that was
not
like
more cursed than us.
A 3-year rule. It was like it was no more than 5. I remember when they came out with it. I'm like, dude, you're telling fans to be quiet when they pay money and they want to be as loud as possible. But yeah, they got rid of that. But yes, I do remember that. It was funny you asked me because I remember that because I like Seattle, even before like the new stadium got a few. I know Kansas City, there was a few. I think there was a Philly Giants game. I remember too. And there was like 2 separate calls on the crowd. It's like, dude, they're supposed to do that. Are you kidding me?
Hey, listen, I'm telling you right now, ain't nobody more cursed than Geno Smith. When the referee tells you on national TV, I'm speaking to America right now, I was like, wait, what? What?
That was terrible. That was terrible.
Wow. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I got 2 questions for the crew tonight. Most surprising, I've got 3 teams in each. Most surprising 2-0 team and most disappointing 0-2 team. More with the Sports Reporter without pay, my man John Shear, and Forks Up Sun Devil, Mike Caratanudo, when the Sports Arena returns in just a moment. National Scouting Combine, January 8th through the 12th. And just to give y'all a little inside information here, there is a possibility that not only will there, of course, be coaches, scouts, agents at the National Scouting Combine this year. However, there just may be a very special guest. Not allowed to drop who it is just yet because it has not been confirmed, but just so you know, when that does happen, you will be the first to hear about it right here on the Sports Arena. But I just want to let y'all know, it is a week where the athletes that we talk about, the athletes that we see on the field, not just in the NFL, but in the XFL, the Indoor Arena Football League, USA Rugby, WWE, and so on and so forth. This is where they get their shot. Because here's the thing. Think about this. The NFL only invites 300 athletes to attend the NFL Combine, realizing that there are easily 800 colleges out there. And some of those players are truly deserving of an opportunity. Well, best place to come get it, National Scouting Combine. All right, gents, let's keep it moving here tonight in the sports arena. So let's start with most disappointing 0-2 team. I put 3 up here. Cincinnati Bengals, LA Chargers, Denver Broncos. Of those 3, and actually, you know what? I'm calling it audible. I have to do this. We do our preseason prediction every year, and every year we have to lock in our picks. Well, I'm calling it audible this year. Because Aaron Rodgers is out and Zach Wilson is in.
Not me, Mama Carrot Noodle.
If anybody wants to change their prediction for the Jets, I will happily take that change.
Hey, by the way, I'm not changing it because yesterday was my mom's birthday, so I was with her, and I was sad to see the Cowboys beating up on the Jets a little bit, but I reminded her that, it's football, but her birthday was still good. But I can't believe you're jumping ship, Eric.
I didn't say I was jumping ship.
Oh,
I'm giving everybody the opportunity.
All right, my bad. My apologies. I thought
I'm not jumping ship.
All right.
I'm simply saying if anybody wants to change, I am giving them that opportunity. That's what I'm saying. I didn't say I was jumping ship.
Oh, okay. All right.
Please. You want me sleeping in the outhouse with you? What's wrong
yeah,
with you?
I showed my mom our pic. She goes, I really like that, Eric. I said, that's because his wife's right next to him. He can't pick against the Jets.
I can.
Not against the Cowboys.
Not against the Cowboys, but I can. All right. Anyhow, back to the lecture at hand. 0-2 disappointing teams. John Shear, out of those 3, who's the most disappointing?
Obviously,
Bengals?
Obviously, it has to be the Cincinnati Bengals. Not only because they're 0-2, but because how they've gotten to 0-2. They forced Joe Burrow back into the lineup. They rushed him back into the lineup. They should have never done that. I believe I'm on record saying that I didn't like them rushing him back. I think they're a talented enough team to where even if they started 0-2, at least Joe Burrow was getting healthy and you're letting that calf heal because you're thinking about the long term. You're thinking about the playoffs and what you can do in the playoffs. Whereas now, not only have you lost 2 division games, one at home against the Ravens, which are, arguably a favorite to win that division, but Joe Burrow re-injured himself. He aggravated that calf, and now you're in more trouble. Not only did they do that, but the offensive line seems to have gotten worse. Joe Mixon can't run a ball more than 2 yards. And the defense, they lost everybody on that defense, seems like in that secondary, and they replace it with nothing. The defense is just atrocious. So now you got a bad defense.
That's my cousin Logan Wilson, man. What you
doing? No, but they lost Jesse Bates, and they didn't do anything to replace a great player like that. They lost so many players in that secondary, and now Joe Burrow's hurt. I think the way that the Bengals have gotten to 0-2 is worse than how the Chargers or Broncos have gotten to 0-2, and the Bengals are in a world of trouble because the Dolphins are good. The Bills got back on the horse. The Chiefs got back on the horse with an impressive win. And the Ravens The Ravens went to Cincinnati and handled them. It was a very impressive win. So, if you're the Bengals and Burrow's hurt, you're in a world of trouble. This is going from bad to worse. It has to be the Bengals for me.
Okay, Ray, out of those 3, Bengals, Chargers, Broncos.
Well, John already touched on the Bengals, and I think any sensible football fan would have to say, just as far as being surprised that it's the Bengals, because this is the team that probably has had the most success against the world beaters, right? Kansas City is like the big bad wolf, and this team has had some success against them, and they look like the team that was in the position to possibly unseat them in the AFC, right? We thought a couple of years ago, Buffalo was going to be their rivals for years, and then it was oh, Cincinnati is into the chat, right? They were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. They go out and beat Buffalo last year, and they play Kansas City again. And this time they came out and losing in. And that's okay to lose to Kansas City, but you expect them to come. And it's not just that they lost. And John kind of touched on it already. It's how they're losing. They look awful. And I would just say to touch on, the teams you put up there, Denver is just whatever. But the Chargers, a friend of mine, shout out Carl Stedman. I don't know if you're watching or not. He showed me this really weird stat one time. It was when Phillip Rivers was quarterbacking. And the Chargers were like number one in yards and number one in yards allowed. Like number one, like in the least amount of yards allowed. Like for all intents and purposes, they had number one offense, number one defense. And they didn't make the playoffs that year. Right? Like it's like one of them weird stats. Somebody just put it in there. Highlight that comment. The Chargers, 58 points, no turnovers, right? And you're 0-2. Like if you before the season you go, what do we want to do in the first two games? Let's go out and average about 30 and don't turn the ball over. We should be in good shape. Nope, 0-2. So they've played well, and it's only giving credence to people who feel like Herbert hasn't performed or played well or won big games or whatever everything they want to say about Herbert. He's played well. Right? He didn't go out there and let the other team march down the field and win the game like you don't play defense, but yeah, it's kind of shocking. Same thing with how Cincinnati is, how the Chargers have performed and yet still losing. Like it's unbelievable.
And see, that's my disappointment. My disappointment is the LA Chargers out of the three teams because we knew that Joe Burrow had an injury during preseason. And even his own teammate told him, bruh, you ain't got to come back till week 5. But Joe Burrow, being the competitor that he is, was like, no, I'm going to show up. And now you have hurt yourself probably more than had you sat out the first couple of games. Granted, yes, the first 2 games against divisional opponents. But you know what? You've done this before. You've started the season 2-3 and then strung 9, 10, 11 wins together to get yourself back to an AFC championship game. So why not heal yourself in the first part of the season to prepare yourself for the longevity of the rest of the season? I understand being a professional, but I always say sometimes you need to protect yourself, or sometimes people need to protect you from yourself. And I think that holds very true in this case with Joe Burrow. But I say the Los Angeles Chargers are my biggest disappointment. Why? For this simple fact. Justin Herbert, above average, if you will, quarterback. Austin Eckler, a guy I was high on back in 2019 when people were like, who is this guy? Speaking of our brother Alex Fleming, I did a fantasy football with him, and Austin Eckler was my first pick, and he looked at me and said, you need to be drug tested. And I'm like, watch what this brother does. Okay. Then you've got Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Then you've got Gerald Everett. Now let's flip it over to the defensive side. Oh, there's a Bosa brother on there. You've got Sebastian Joseph Day. You've got Khalil Mack. You've got Derwin James, Asante Samuel Jr. You have household names on the team, and they can't win. And I still go back and say what I've said before. The problem is not them. The problem is their head coach. Brandon Staley is not a head coach. I know that is currently his title, and he will forever have that on his resume. But, sir, you are not a head coach. You are an offensive coordinator, maybe at best. Somebody else needs to come in and run this ship because right now he is running it into the ground. And as much as I want to place blame on any of those other players that I mentioned, I can't because everybody talks about, well, we give the quarterback all the praise and we also give him all the blame. No, I'm putting it squarely on the head coach and saying, you are not qualified. That word that Mike and I use each and every time we talk about a coach or a player in a particular position. Brandon Staley is not qualified to be a head coach in the NFL. And the longer he remains there, the Los Angeles Chargers will not be a playoff team. And if they are, they will be one and done. Their ceiling will be wild card weekend. So I don't know I know what needs to change. Ownership, front office, y'all need to fix this because you have too much talent and too many, just in my opinion, you have too many well-deserving players on that team who could get you to that next level and be in the conversation with the Buffaloes of the world, with the Cincinnatis of the world, with the potential Baltimores of the world, in that mix of divisional round of playoffs, possibly an AFC championship game. But with Brandon Staley at the helm, y'all ain't going past wild card weekend.
Wow. I mean, look, Cincinnati started 0-2 last year, and Joe Burrow was coming off the appendicitis. So they started 0-2 last year, and then they turned it around. Now, do they have the talent to do it? Yes. John, to your point, defensively, they may take a little bit of a step back. Yes, the offensive line I still think needs to gel. The Ravens, the Ravens make it tough to run. We're going by game, but they need to give the ball to Joe Mixon a little bit more. That being said, I'm going Chargers, though, too. And, yes, to what you said, Brandon Staley, and, guys, I said him going for it like it's Madden. I mean, like fourth and whatever they're in the minus territory and close to midfielders, whatever, and he goes for it like, yeah, as an offense, you love that. As a defense, it's like, okay, he has confidence in us, but still giving the other team in the NFL a short field. But to Darnell's point about, no turnovers, 58 points, no turnovers. Like, I'm going back to Kellen Moore. In overtime, he was the Kellen Moore in Dallas. 3 straight, chuck it down the field. Now, Austin Eckler didn't play yesterday, but Eric, they were pretty balanced. They were moving the ball. Kept going back and forth looking at that. Kellen Moore did it again. And, yes, players have to make plays. If you see something, could Herbert audible to maybe we should run the ball here? But 3 straight chucks, and you just did a defense that's very opportunistic anyway in Tennessee, a huge favor. So, like, that's the frustrating part. The over-frustrating part is, yes, having no turnovers, and you're 0-2. Austin Eckler, what did I talk about? The money. Did not play yesterday. I mean, yeah, it is an ankle, so I'm not saying it's something like, it's saying it's a shoulder or this. It was an ankle, and he was questionable all week. I get it. But if he plays in that game, are we even going to overtime? Like, to your point, Eric, we know what he means to that offense, especially in the short pass game. Like, you have that basketball team of receivers, and, yeah, it's the NFL. You're not going to blow everybody out, but you have that basketball team full of receivers, and then you have Eckler with somebody like Herbert. I mean, yeah, Brandon Staley, I don't think he's doing – look, a head coach needs to motivate. We know he's not calling any of the offense, maybe, but he should be kind of like Pete Carroll in the Super Bowl should have been like, hey, run the ball here. Don't throw it. Run the damn ball. You're on the 1 yard line. Run the ball. Give it to Marshawn Lynch. Like, you're the head coach. You can be like, hey, run the ball here. So it is the Chargers. And I mean, to Ray's point too, like, can they go, do they have the talent to go toe to toe with the Chiefs in a game? Yes. But when it's on the line, who are we all going to have more confidence in winning if it goes down to the end? I mean, Justin Herbert, because Ray talked about it a few weeks ago when we were talking about, I mean, he freaking bruised his ribs in that game, missed like 2 plays, and then came back in, and they were still driving the ball. And then they turned it over deep in Kansas City territory, and they lost the game. But like, we know the kid's tough, but Brandon Staley, I'm with you, Eric, like, is not the guy. They made him, he's had to fire everybody else, bringing a new offensive coordinator. He's calling the defense still. Dude, like, at what point, if you're the Chargers, and especially you're right, you're the front office, can you be like, yeah, this is our head coach?
Hey, E.
Yeah.
Because I know you did this on purpose. I know you did. Because you're a hater is what you are, sir. I no problems with the teams you put up there. But it's another team that's 0-2 that we have to be somewhat surprised that they're 0-2, especially considering what Mike was just talking about, right? As well as Justin Herbert has played, as well as that offense has played. If you told me that I won 13 games last year, 13, 14, whatever they won, and then in the first 2 games of the year, my quarterback went for 344 and 2 touchdowns. My receiver went for 12 receptions and 150. And then in game 2, my quarterback went for 364 and 4 touchdowns, and my receiver had 159. I don't think Minnesota would have won a game by now. But I know how much you hate Kirk Cousins, E. So you're like, it ain't disappointing to me. In fact, it's my who knew I knew. Like, I know it. But I will say this, right? You talk about missing a player. You talk about Eckler and that offense for the Chargers, right? What Minnesota is missing is Dalvin Cook. In game 1, Addison rushed for 28 yards.
He sucks.
No, game 1, he rushed for 34 yards.
34.
Game 2 against Philly, he rushed for 28, right?
28. Yeah.
Justin Jefferson went off. Justin Jefferson got 2 150-yard games to start the season. Kirk Cousins has 2 games over 344. He has 6 touchdowns and 1 interception. They're doing their part, but they're super predictable now.
Hey, Ray, you ain't allowed to speak.
Wait, Kirk Cousins has more touchdown passes than Jalen Hurts, Ray?
Ray, you ain't allowed to speak about that behind closed doors, man. Come on now.
I tried telling the world, man, like at the draft, I tried telling the world. They're like, man, Jordan Addison, he's so great. He's so fast. He's going to make that offense better. And I'm like, so what? They're going to do exactly what they did against the Giants last year. Like guys like Daniel Jones throw all over them. No offense to anybody that's like dominated them when they played defense this year. But like that's the Vikings didn't fix their defense. And so their problem is
but Dalvin
defense.
Cook still had a big game, John.
But their problem is defense. And instead of going defense in the draft, they're like, sure, let's add another wide receiver. That's like that meme where he patches something over the water and the water, eventually starts coming out. It's like, well, you didn't fix the defense. And that's why DeAndre Swift ran for what he ran for.
We got to keep moving because I want to keep that same energy tonight because we haven't done it in a while. So with this next one, I am going to add a fourth team. Most surprising 2-0, and the team that I'm adding in is a team that just did win tonight, that being the New Orleans Saints. So again, 3 teams in the NFC South, a division that we thought was going to be just a dumpster fire. And then the Washington Commanders, most surprising 2-0 team. And again, throwing the Saints in there because they did just win over a divisional opponent in the Carolina Panthers, 20-17. So, Ray, I'm going to start with you. Most surprising 2-0 team, sir.
Again, by default, right? Because when bad teams beat bad teams, it is what it is, right? But I thought Atlanta was going to be awful. I mean, I really thought they were going to be god awful. Week 1, I think they played Carolina in week 1.
They did.
Yeah.
A bad team playing a bad team, somebody has to win, right? But after what Green Bay did in week 1, I thought Green Bay was going to walk through Atlanta. I thought they were going to just walk through them. Oh, man, Atlanta went out and played, man. Like, and then now you kind of don't know what's coming with them. Like, the running back they just drafted, Bijan. Is it Bijan? Why you say
Bijan Robinson,
right? And then Algier still playing well. Mm-hmm. Like that. Like they're playing well for all intents and purposes. I would like to see what happens when they schedule beef up a little bit, right? Pulse. But for right now, like they're sitting at 2-0. Nobody. I think I saw something that said they were above 500 for like the first time since 2018 or something like that. Something weird and stupid. Like 4 or 5 years, they haven't been over 500 until week 1. Atlanta is my, like, Tampa Bay didn't shock me at all. I told people they were going to be good. But Atlanta.
So for me, it's Washington, because as much as I gave hell to Brandon Staley, I'm giving all praise and kudos to Eric Bieniemy coming over from Kansas City, because that was the question. What is he going to do now that he doesn't have Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce? He got Sam Howell, Brian Robinson Jr., and I'll say Scary Terry McLaurin, along with Logan Thomas. And what have they done? They've beaten the teams that they're supposed to beat. Now, to go into Denver and beat Denver, that said something to me yesterday. Because, again, I was the only one that picked Washington to beat Denver in Denver. Thank you very much, everybody. Which, by the way, Ray, really quick, just to say to you, sir.
You do that. Don't you do that. Don't you do that live on TV. Continue your brief, sir. Continue your take on. Continue your take, sir.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. But, again, this is showing me kind of what we saw last year. Thank you, sir. What that showed me last year with the Giants. You know, the Giants surprised a lot of people the beginning of last year, going 6-2. The Washington Commanders under Ron Rivera, Jack Del Rio on defense, and now the addition of Eric Bieniemy is showing that with Sam Howell, they are going to be in each and every game. And if the defense could just tighten up on their penalties, because Chase Young is hungry, and I think that's going to be kind of his default. He had too many, just unnecessary penalties yesterday, especially in crucial moments, that I was like, bruh, just you gonna get the Russ. Just wait a sec. Just hold on. You gonna get to him, because that offensive line's gonna let you get through. But yeah, Washington Commanders, they are my surprising 2-0 team. But again, I go back to what Mike and I talked about in the NFC East preseason prediction. At one point in time, all 4 teams in the NFC East were slated to be in the playoffs. It could have potentially been an NFC East playoffs from divisional round, and one of the four teams would have been would not could would have been represented in the Super Bowl. Just marinate on that for a minute while I go to my man John Shear.
Can I throw an audible? Am I allowed to do that?
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
All right. I think I have to go with the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, they played the Texans week 1, but with all of the injuries that they had, the last time they had all these injuries in the secondary, remember Joe Burrow went for over 400 yards. Shamar Chase went insane on them when they were without Humphrey a couple years ago. They were without all their guys, and they're 2-0. They lost their running back, gone. Lost their safety, gone. Humphrey's not playing, gone. Like Ronnie Stanley, they lost him week 1. They lost their center week 1. Like, they don't have their center. They don't have their star left tackle. Don't have their running back. Don't have their star safety. They don't have their star cornerback. And what do the Ravens do? Oh, yeah, we're just going to walk into a divisional opponent's house, a team that was in the AFC Championship 2 years in a row, that went to a Super Bowl, and we're just going to go and manhandle them. I know it was a 3-point game at the end, but the Ravens dominated that game. Like, the Ravens were all over the Bengals. So the fact that the Ravens are 2-0 and they've had all of these injuries and it hasn't slowed them down. Odell Beckham went out of the game yesterday. Doesn't matter. Like, the Ravens, the old Ravens, when it comes to injuries, they just roll over and kind of die. Mark Andrews missed week 1, and he's still banged up. But this team just keeps moving along. And, I mean, this is not like the Ravens where they normally just kind of roll over. And Lamar Jackson's playing really well. I mean, it's surprising to me that they've just 2 games, but that they're 2-0. It's very surprising.
Ray, really quick, John, I'm going to give you an opportunity to respond to this comment right here.
Oh, God.
Oh, come on, man. Like, are you serious? Did you not see what they did to the Chargers? And then what they did to the Patriots, where it's like, oh, we're going to play 3 safeties. Nobody does that. What are we going to do? We'll just take what you give us. We're going to run for over 100 yards, 2 touchdowns for Mostert. It's only 5th time in history that Dolphins running back has ran for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns against Belichick. And Tua has the best record in the history of the NFL against Bill Belichick, 5-0. Nobody's ever done that. John Elway's the closest at 4-0. Tua's 5-0. Nobody's ever touched that record. Bill Belichick can't beat Tua. So,
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Say what you want, Craig West. You don't know football. Yeah.
All right. And Ray, our man, Atlanta Falcons.
I'm always with the smoke, Eric. I don't know him from a can of paint, but I will tell him this. We can do this kind of merchandise betting. So you can make a comment in the comments if you're down for it. You can find me afterwards, right? The loser has to go out with their own money and purchase merchandise of the other team, take a picture in it, and make it their Facebook profile for a week. You tell me if you down with it. I'm down with it. I'm down with it. You tell me. Because worst case scenario, I'll rock it later. So I will say this, John. I like what you did in terms of, hey, let's just throw something out there that people weren't really talking about. He didn't have the Ravens. I'm with you. I just like a lot of time, like then your logic doesn't coincide, right? Because nobody cares that they beat Houston, right? You just told us 10 minutes ago, Cincinnati shouldn't have had Joe Burrow out there. He ain't healthy.
They're still the Bengals. They still got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and
with nobody throwing them the ball.
But they look rusty. Like, Joe Burrow looked fine in the first half. He didn't look hobbled in the first half, and he's still missing throws.
On this very show, I didn't say Joe Burrow shouldn't have been on the field. You said Joe Burrow shouldn't have been on the field.
But he was out there.
I said it too.
He was out there, so I think most of us picked the Bengals yesterday.
Because we actually were split 3-3 on that one.
Yeah.
I will pull up. Keep going, but I will pull up the picks from yesterday to show you.
But the fact that the team that was in the AFC Championship 2 years in a row, Super Bowl a couple years ago, they're rolling into their house. You expect Joe Burrow to bounce back after that week 1, and he did look healthy. We all expected him to look like Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase to start going off without Marlon Humphrey there, without Marcus Williams there. We expected that Bengals team to at home get right against the Ravens. And the Ravens were just like, we're going to punch you in the mouth, even though we lost all these guys. That's surprising to me.
Eric, Again, I don't
Yes,
know
sir.
that man from a can of paint. My word is as good as law, but I do
Oh yeah, no.
understand it.
I was
Yeah,
just waiting because I know Mike still has to do his. But yeah, that bet is done. That's a done deal. So yes, Joe Carlino, it is done. If the Falcons should beat the Detroit Lions, then Ray Lynn will go out with his own money.
no. You start off the other way.
Okay, fine.
If the Lions beat the Falcons,
When the Lions beat the Falcons,
my
Joe
God.
Carlino will go out with his own money. He will purchase Detroit Lions gear. He will wear it, take a picture, and have it as his Facebook profile for a week. If the Falcons beat the Lions, the sports reporter without pay Ray Lynn, with his own money, will go out and purchase Falcons gear, wear it, take a picture, and put it as his Facebook page for a week.
Hey, Ray, maybe you could get a shirt that says we blew a 28-3 lead. Sorry, Eric. I couldn't.
Yeah, that's the game right there on the line.
But
All right. So,
Hey,
Mike, really quick, I'm going to let you go. But as you're going, I just want to show everybody our picks from yesterday with regard to the game, the Ravens game. But go ahead, Mike. Go ahead. Talk about your,
no, I mean,
your surprise team.
I'm going with the Falcons because we said preseason, and I liked Arthur Smith, what he did offensively, or what they were doing offensively. And I mean, when I said Bijan Robinson was obviously drafting him, the kid is a difference maker, and Algiers went for 1,000 last year. They couldn't throw the ball well. Look, Desmond Ridder, I think, yeah, there's growth there, but the way he played at Cincinnati, I think with those two backs, and yeah, Kyle Pitts does need to be more involved. He needs to defend the ball a little more. I don't know why he's not, but the way they just blew out and you're saying, okay, two bad teams. You knew the Panthers would obviously be down too, but they shut them out in the fourth quarter. And they took that game yesterday. I mean, you think about it, it's like, okay, they shut the Packers out in the fourth quarter somehow. So, and Robinson had 19 carries for 124 yards. And then Algier had 16 for 48. And I mean, didn't do much in the receiving game, but Robinson, I mean, had 4 for 48. So, look, I mean, the fact that if this defense is so much going to have to, carry the Falcons and keep them in it. I mean, you shut anyone out in the fourth quarter. I mean, especially doing it to the Packers who, yeah, okay, it was the Bears. But, I mean, look how consistent their offense looked all game. Jordan Love didn't look rattled. And in the fourth quarter, well, yeah, I know they had 11 total yards. But still, you were losing for a long time. So it
also helped no Aaron Jones and no Christian Watson.
And if Aaron Jones plays, the Christian Watson, I mean, it is big. But if Aaron Jones plays, then whole different ball game there. You're not winning by 1 point. But I mean, I do have to say it's the most surprised. Washington, look, as much as it pains me, Eric, like you, I mean, the defense, what did I say to you? I mean, and we both agreed, like, their defense is going to keep them in every game. Can the offense, can Sam Howell score? Can they get those guys involved? Can McLaurin, like you said, knock on wood, stay healthy? You have a running game. So, I mean, like, I knew the defense would keep minutes, so I can't really say I'm surprised that they are, especially since they opened up with the fighting, we fight for 3 quarters Cardinals, I guess, is their theme for 2 games. But no, I mean, Washington not, but yeah.
Mike, they're your neighbors, man. They're going to come knocking on your door.
They probably are, because we fight for 3 quarters. Well, you don't like it, finish out the damn game in the fourth quarter. I mean, the Giants had their biggest comeback yesterday, but no, I mean, look, I'm not Washington's defense, like we said, and you said with Chase Young, now coming back, I mean, he is hungry. That defense is nasty. Rivera's a defensive guy. Jack Del Rio, I mean, his history. Now you bring in Eric Bieniemy. So, hey, Eric, I do have to say this. I guess those reports maybe were a little embellished and fake. Maybe they weren't whining about being coached too hard or told what they really were by Bieniemy.
Exactly.
Even though they still had to cheat to win.
All right. Show's almost over because I'm out of wine. So let's keep that same.
No, look, real quick on the 2-0 thing. I just feel like, and look at the chat real quick on the 2-0 thing. I do want to say this, and I hate giving anybody. I hate talking about Miami last week because John get all full of himself. I will say this: I'm not shocked that this team is 2-0, and God, I hate this. But there was a team yesterday that scored 31 points. In the second half alone, that same team, whether you think they're good or bad, lost 40-0 in week 1. Just let that sink in. I'm not
fair
surprised that Dallas is 2-0. I'm surprised at how they're 2-0. Their defense is playing at a level that's unbelievable. Like Micah Parsons, we saw this last year.
Right.
We saw that at his peak, one of the best young defenders in the league. He looks like he's about to have one of those. We remember that 3-4 year JJ Watt run. We remember the run Aaron Donald was on. Parsons looks like he's about to have one of these 5-6 year dominant runs where he's just unstoppable and there's nothing you can do about it. It's a lot of good defenders in this league. The Bosa brothers, Aaron Donald is still playing. Fred Warren, like list goes on and on. Micah Parsons is etching his name out near the top of that list, man.
He is.
I
you know what, Ray? I want you to go ahead, John, because then really quick, I'm gonna let Ray keep that same energy for next week. I got an Eric's rant I haven't done in a while, and I got to get one off my chest. But John, please go ahead.
I just want to say this. They played Daniel Jones, they played Zach Wilson, and then they go to Arizona this week. So, like, it's not like the Cowboys have played and will play any quarterback the first 3 weeks. Then they play Mac Jones at home.
A team thing. I don't care you're a Dolphins fan.
They don't play real teams until week 5 at San Fran.
Hey, Christian Gonzalez baited Tua. A rookie baited Tua. How was that?
And then they go to the Chargers.
Christian Gonzalez. My boy. It never fails. 3-4 times a show, John says something to contradict himself. And here it is right here. When we just talked about the Chargers, John said, "Oh, you saw what we did to the Chargers." Well, we just talked about that. You did. You said you saw what we did to the Chargers. You said that, right?
Yes,
right?
We do that to everybody.
I know, but check this out, right? Check this out. We just talked about the Chargers have 58 points and no turnovers. Why are they losing? Because they're giving up 31 points a game. They have the worst defense in the league. Y'all went out and scorched them. When Tua had 400 yards and Tyreek had 200, you wasn't saying it was a bad defense, right? No. You can only play the people in front of you. Dallas has dominated the teams that's been on the field with them. I don't care who it is, those professional NFL players, and they dominated them. I mean,
but look at it like if you're trying to
don't put anything. The Jets defense is as good as yours, if not better.
If you're Mike and Megan after 3 weeks, do you look at the Cowboys and you're like, man, we're a Super Bowl team? Or are you like, I'm not so sure?
Because
I'm looking at the Dolphins and I'm like, I know we're legit.
All coaches say, like all people that are analysts, but coaches say, like, if you look, okay, and Ray, I'm using Detroit as an example because I have been a supporter of Matt Stafford for a very long time because he's and Eric knows this, he's the only SEC quarterback outside the Manning brothers that I said, yeah, that's a quarterback that came from the SEC that can play. The rest of them, yeah, I'll take my Pac-12 quarterbacks. That was for you, Mike Patton, and I can't wait to come to the Bay Area. That being said, but the Lions always took those steps. You're going to sit there and tell me that the Jets defense isn't as good, if not better than yours, because the Jets defense will you have to play a full game. So yes, when you look at it, good teams. Yeah. When everybody says, "Oh, on paper," which of course, thank God, the game's not played on paper. Oh, they'll beat them. They'll do this or that. You go from an average team to a good team when you start winning games. For people feel that teams that are equal to you. You go from good to great when you start beating teams that are better than you. But when you are a great team, you are going to beat those teams. And don't tell me the Jets defense wasn't causing problems yesterday. Yeah, people see the score. Okay, they were, but they were still turning the ball over. So I'll take the Cowboys full team wins.
Don't do that, Mike. You know football better than that.
Okay, well, cool. He shouldn't do it with the Dolphins either because Bill Belichick made.
All right, and with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna do what I need to do.
I got you, Eric. I got you. Y'all haven't seen it in forever. My bro is back. He gonna get some stuff off his chest. He's gonna tell y'all that he's just another loudmouth with an opinion. With that being said.
Swung on and hit in the air to deep left center.
Welcome to the 2023 NFL version of Eric's Rant. Like I always say, I'm just a loudmouth with an opinion. So whether you like it or not, here it goes. So typically when I do Eric's Rant, I'm always focused on an individual. I'm always focused on something that went down. And very rarely, unless they are doing something so egregious, so ridiculous, I feel like I got to talk about my team. Well, yeah, this one, is going out to my Philadelphia Eagles. More importantly, going out to my guy, number 11, A.J. Brown. A.J., it's 2 weeks in, bro. And I understand, man, you are a wide receiver. You and Devontae are like 1A, 1B. There are no Robins, as you said, sir. It's just two Batmans, two Dark Knights going at it. I understand that. But here's the thing. The gelling, the camaraderie, the connection, the chemistry on the offensive side of the Philadelphia Eagles outside of our offensive line just isn't there yet. So what I'm going to need you to do is just bring it down. Right now, you at an 11. I need you at an 8.5, 9 right now. Now, you don't had time because you took care of business against Minnesota. We took care of business against Minnesota, which I already knew was going to happen because Kirk Cousins can't win past 4 o'clock. But, bruh, it's a long season, man. You know you're going to be a 1,000-yard receiver. You know you're going to have games where you're going to dominate. You know Jalen's going to throw to you when you in double coverage like he did it when you were playing against Pittsburgh. And what did you do, bro? You set the tone. I understand you want your touches, but right now, bro, we got to figure it out. Now, once that happens, guess what? It's off to the races. Speaking of off to the races, big shout out again to my running back by committee, because a lot of people have always said when you have all these top running backs and people don't get their time to shine, it could cause some animosity. It could cause some problems. Well, guess what? Gainwell, Scott, Penny, and Swift have all said, look, we don't care. We just want to win. That's all it is. Boston Scott has gone to special teams and is getting the ball out to where we need it to be. And now I've got the 2-headed, possibly 3-headed Hydra monster. Shout out to my brother Alex Fleming for having Gainwell, for having Penny, who looks like he's going to be healthy and be consistent. Oh, and then we got DeAndre Swift. Again, thank you, Detroit. And more importantly, thank you, Sports Reporter Without Pay, for allowing us to take him. We know y'all got C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and I hope on defense he is serviceable to you, because here's the thing that I want to see, okay? In an ideal setting, the sports arena has 4 dominant teams in the NFL. That would be the Miami Dolphins on the AFC, and then on the NFC, we've got the Detroit Lions, the Philadelphia Eagles, and Mike and Megan's team. Can you imagine, just for a moment, ladies and gentlemen, imagine if all 4 of those teams get into the postseason? Imagine if 3 teams in the NFC, those 3 teams are playing in the divisional round of the playoffs. Imagine if 2 of those make it to the NFC Championship game. And imagine if 1 gets to the Super Bowl, or in my case, gets back to the Super Bowl. See, the sports arena is about winners. You either jump on or get the hell off. But one way or another, here's the thing you need to understand. We are must-see TV. We are the best thing going at 10 p.m. Eastern every single Monday night. And without a shadow of a doubt, and without even question, I work with some of the best hustlers, some of the best entrepreneurs, you know what I want to say, newers, and some of the best people in this industry. That is what makes us great. That is what makes us who we are. And most importantly, that is why, as I always say, and I'll be PC because I'll do this one for John Shear, that is why I don't mess with people who don't have that same energy. See, Ray talked about before, he talked about a certain NBA player not having that it factor, his heart pump Kool-Aid. Y'all know who I'm talking about. And if you don't, go back and take a look at one of my YouTube shorts, because you'll damn sure see it. But that's not who I run with. So for all the talk, because there's been a lot of talk the last couple of months that I've been kind of just sitting on. And I've been like, you know what? I'm going to wait my time. Now, I'm going to let y'all know. Keep messing with a brother. Find out what we can do. Find out what we will do, and find out that you're going to be looking at our backs as we continually progress. Now, I know I went off on a tangent there, but I had to get that off my chest. But to A.J. Brown, let me just say this. My brother, your time will come. And when it does, I fully expect you to shine. Because when you do, just know we've always been in your corner. We will always be in your corner. And as long as you are an EAGLES, we will be your biggest fan. Much love to everybody. I'm just going to simply say goodnight and roll out. For the Sports Reporter Without Pay, my man Ray Lynn, John Shear, my brother at Sideline Sports. Check him out tomorrow night, 8:30 p.m. and NFL Alumni Media. And Forks Up, Sun Devil. He's a Sun Devil, Jerry. ASU alum, Pitchfork Lunch. My man, Mike Carrot Tenuto, your man, Eric Wilson. We will see y'all next Monday night. Ray, I'm gonna need you to run the show because it is Monday Night Football, and the 2-0 Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going up against the 2-0 Philadelphia Eagles. I cannot say that I'm gonna be politically correct if I come on this show at 10 p.m.
Hey man, if I gotta come on here after what they did to my Lions and say, "Hey E, this a whole nother thing." First off, this is my guy Sean. He a Philly fan too. But you peeped this comment, right? You need to get on it though. Just saying.
I'm gonna let y'all know. Don't worry, they coming. The merchandise is coming, y'all. It's coming. Working on it. It's working on it. But anyhow, much love to everybody. We will see y'all next week. Make sure you check out John tomorrow. Make sure you check out Mike on Friday, right?
Oh,
When do you do pitchfork lunch?
Oh, every day, 12 to 1.
Oh, you every day. Oh, you big time now. You every
Monday
day.
through
And Ray,
Friday.
do you have a date yet for season 2, my brother?
I don't know the exact date. It will be on Monday. It'll be the same time, Mondays at 8:00. I got to look at the NBA schedule because what I'm going to start doing is a team by team kind of preview.
Okay.
So I got to look at the schedule and see when NBA preseason games start. It'll be probably a week or two before that, and then we back at Ball Don't Lie, man. We are back with Ball Don't Lie.
Great show. I don't even want to be on it. I just love watching it because the people you bring on, man, they just got so much knowledge. And shout out to my man. I mean, I love him. I do. He's a Giants fan, even though he ain't gonna win this Thursday night. I'm just gonna call it right now. Avery, you know I love you, man. But next time you say you're gonna pull up on somebody, you better show up, especially on this show, because we don't play. Because like I know Coach Prime has made it now a famous thing to say, I ain't hard to find. But as I always say, I ain't a hard man to find. So much love, y'all. We out.